All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very first episode of Between Drops podcast, where we are telling the stories of the wonderful Hormesis community. This is episode number one. I am your host, Ian Anderson, and we have a very special guest for you today, one of the recently crowned Hormesis community kings. Good sir, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Sean Chai. Um, been in the military for about 15, 16 years now. I kind of lost track, don't really count. But yeah, I started playing paintball back in probably 98,
Okay.
but it was always a on and off sport for me. Play as a kid here and now, and then play as a teenager a little bit more, then high school and all of that crap, and then I I started playing a little bit more competitive when I started getting right around the same time I joined the military. And that lasted for a good number of years. And then work started happening. So
Yeah.
fell back out of it again. And just a little over a year ago, decided to pick it back up again. And it's been fucking amazing ever since.
No, I can absolutely understand that. I mean, first of all, thank you for your service and your continued service. And as a fellow member, it's like I can remember those times where you're working weird shifts and you're working the weekends and, swing shifts, and it just makes it really, really hard to get out to the field. And um, yeah, at least I know that was the case for me as well. And so now we're finally into a point where it's more fun and we can do it on a little bit more regular basis. Um, are you playing for any teams currently?
Currently, no. My schedule's a little bit too busy, so it's kind of more of a play when I can, hang when I can kind of deal.
Dig it.
You mentioned shift working, and right now my shift is 4 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, that's an odd one.
So, a little shitty.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think one of my favorite shifts back in the day was the what was it, swings? I think it was like the 3 to 11 shift.
Yeah,
At least
our
for us.
swings was 4 to mid,
Yeah.
but yeah, now we've got this entirely different kind of swing shift now, so it
Mhm.
just encompasses all of the graves.
Yeah. So when did you jump into hormesis in the community? Or when did you start kind of getting involved with that?
This might seem surprising to most, but I believe I joined the owners group of June last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it hasn't even been a year yet. Um, I actually found the BST page some month or so ahead of that,
Okay.
just 'cause curiosity
Yeah.
freaking struck me pretty hard. Um, I never saw a $300 headband in my life in any of the other previous years of paintball I ever played.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, coming I mean, it's a Sandana was always the big one back in the day. But, growing up, it was either paintball or gear, so I never really had, a lot of money for headgear. But um, thankfully, as I'm older, I can afford a little bit more expensive headband, which makes it nice. Um, so what was your go-to go-to headgear before you started wearing Hormesis?
Honestly, it wasn't really go to. It's just at the time I think it was probably the easiest, but I only had maybe 3 or 4 headbands ever before Hermesis, and it was all HK Army.
Yeah.
Cheap crap, got the job done.
Yep.
So it wasn't anything special, wasn't anything crazy. I wasn't into the collecting side of paintball yet.
Hmm.
So Sandana was never um, a big one for me.
Yeah, I ended up acquiring some Sandana through some trades, but it was never something where I had the money to kind of seek it out individually. Um, I mean, I remember when, HK Army and I think what was it, PB Fashion worked together
Yeah,
kind of back in the day. And I
PB
remember
Fashion, HK
saving up
Army,
all
and
my money just to get one band. and that was the only one I had. And it was just kind of you bought it and you wore it. I didn't really have the collector side either, and I've done a little bit of gun collecting, and that kind of comes and goes. I get in waves with that, but um, yeah, the headgear game has really been a fun thing to kind of collect.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your experience of being selected as a community king? I mean, you said it's coming up on a year of, group membership, and you've made a huge impact on the community, and, rightfully so, you've been crowned. And so, I mean, what was that experience like?
Ah, it left me speechless for the first couple of days. Like I just didn't know how to process it. Uh, it's incredibly uh, humbling. Just to, I guess, feel the appreciation come back to you. It's a whole mix of emotions. The first day your jaw dropped, you're excited, you're having a big dream, if you will, come true. I mean that being a community king is something that anybody in the community could aspire for.
Yeah,
But 6 months ago, you asked me the same question, I would have just laughed at you and been like, I ain't worthy of no community king, man. Look at these guys that are before me. Look at the guys that are all the class of 23 that are with me.
yeah,
You got some OGs mixed in with the bunch. You stand up community guys in the bunch, and I didn't want to. It kind of hard to explain. It's an overwhelming experience. I felt like I didn't quite meet the criteria to be such a recipient of such, but here we are.
yeah. It's awesome, man. Well, it's well deserved. Like I said, I mean, you're always involved, and you're a positive beacon in the community, and it's really nice when you can see the right people, you know, blessed with the rewards of something prestigious like a community king. So, congratulations, good sir. It's awesome, man. I saw your band, and like everyone else, those things went quick, and then it was a
Oh
bloodbath
yeah.
on Facebook. It was, uh, yeah, I was out in the woods. So I'm like, you know what? We're gonna try, and those things went fast.
Oh, they
Absolutely
flew
went fast.
fast.
Yeah, but they're so awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to, design it and receive it? I mean, what was that process like? If you can share. I don't know how, if they protect that kind of information, but
So it might have been different from the first year and second year um, Community Kings.
okay.
Um, we or I had zero idea this was happening. Um, I had no uh, I had no influence on the design. I had no yes or no decision on it. Um, quite it was a little weird because I just got a random tracking number in my email.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, I don't remember ordering anything, but okay. And it just sat. The tracking number sat for a couple of days, and I'm just like, well, I don't freaking know what the hell this is. And then the Friday following is when we all found out Antonio got his crown, and a light bulb went off, and I was just like, there's no freaking way. There's just absolutely no freaking way. And come Monday, I go to check my mail in the morning after getting home from work. And lo and behold, there's a freaking box of bands with an amazing letter from the company saying, congratulations, you've been selected. And it was
Wow.
just like, oh, it hits hard,
Wow.
hits deep.
That's awesome. So you didn't know until the kind of the tracking number showed up and you put the two and two together.
Over the weekend, I started to, you know, oh, this would be a pretty cool idea if this happened. But yeah, aside from that, I had no idea. We all saw the Instagram sneak peeks of what the Community King lines were going to look like.
Hmm.
But aside from that, I was like, oh, this year's bands are going to be freaking dope. There's going to be some
Yeah,
amazing kings getting crowned, and I ended up being part of that first batch. So
that's
it was
awesome, man.
quite a roller coaster.
That's cool. Yeah, and you are, do they do a certain amount of kings per like class, or is it just like, do they have a set number, do you know, or is it just kind of the deserving people
That
kind of?
that's all part of that little inner circle of Hormesis.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They kind of take the bands that they have. Um, I don't know if Ollie will, handpick the people, make a specific amount of bands for that person based off of
Hmm.
how he feels about the person, but it does feel like he does pay attention to the people that he sees in the group. Um, I mean, I got mine right here just because I knew it was going to happen. But
Oh my gosh. Wow.
this has a very OCP look. It matches the Air Force uniform,
Yep.
and he nailed red, which is like the color I'm always using on the field. So
Yeah.
it seemed pretty cool. To a degree, it felt like he was watching. He knew, he
Yeah.
made the band in his own liking, but he made the band for me.
Yeah. And that's awesome too. I mean, especially to have people, one, kind of reward the people in the community, but pay enough attention to where it really feels like it means something and it came from someone who, has been keeping an eye on you and has been really, taking notes of your contribution and gives you something that's truly unique and you appreciate. And that's awesome. Absolutely awesome, man. So, other than the band that you just got for Community Kings, what would you say is your favorite Hormesis band if you had to pick one?
Um,
And it could be
well,
one you own or one you are still in the hunt for too.
well, I don't have a huge like goal in the means of collecting every grail or collecting every OG band, but the one band that I absolutely wanted to get my hands on was the Oahu. This is one of six in
Oh, wow.
existence. Um, so it took me about 3 months to track down every single lead. I was bothering everybody. I was messaging anybody that had their name attached to it. I went down the paper trail trying to figure out whose hand it went to next and where it went missing. And I think I still don't know where one of the six bands are. There are two other guys on Oahu who hold an Oahu, and John Reeves over in Okinawa has number one.
Wow.
So yeah, and he's born and raised from Oahu, so it seemed quite fitting.
You
It just
know,
felt really nice to find, hunt, and bring home a band, bring it back to the islands.
yeah, that's absolutely awesome. That's one of the things that I really want to try and push with this project is just each band has its own significance to every person, and a lot of it is just in the hunt too, and there's a story in the hunt for that band and why it means as much as it does. And everyone in the community has one of those stories, and I don't think any two people will have the same one. And I think, that's what makes this project really unique. And I'm looking forward to it. And I just thank you again for being the first person on.
I'll be the guinea pig.
Oh man. All right. So what would you say, jump into drops? What would be your most memorable drop that you've landed? And do you still have the band?
My very first drop was geez, I can't remember. It was red. I wanted it because it was red, but I ended up crowning my nephew with it some weeks later because you know he started playing paintball with me and my wife, and he really started getting into it. So I was like, he don't know how these drops work. He don't, he doesn't know what these bands are. He doesn't know anything about the company or the brand. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it to him. I got another one or two bands coming in for me anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I'd have to say one of the first ones I got was probably the most memorable, just because it felt like it was a it was a it was a spick and span show code drop, and I was still trying to figure out how that crap worked. um, I think the first couple months of trying, I just I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't quite understand everything that was going on. And
Yeah.
when I finally figured out how a code drop worked, I managed to get one on that day.
Yeah, I remember those code drops when everyone was chasing them, and those were hard ones to get. I think my very first one that I was able to get was a one of the Green Lion, maybe the Green Lion bands. Um, but I've given I think two of my bands away, and I don't know that in my mind I never set out to give them away. It just they seem to be
Just it
fitting
just
for the right
happens.
people, you know, like it's almost like
Exactly.
it calls to them, and it's like, well,
Hmm.
this is for you. And so it's just, I think that's why this brand is really unique in that way too, because it's almost like it's like the energy. It's like, oh man, this was for you the whole time. Like I was just holding on to it until you came across it, and so here you go. And I think that makes this one of the reasons why this community is very special. All right, so now we've talked about landed drops. What would you say is your most memorable missed drop?
When Archie's line came out, um, the Ganesh, that was a beautiful line.
Mm.
Everybody had been teased about it for, I want to say it felt like months. That was a pretty handshaking drop for me, but yeah, I did miss it.
Did you end
I
up
did
getting
miss
one?
that one. My wife found out what I was chasing for, and she managed to work with, I think it was Mayan, Issa, and Craig Baxter, and I think there was one more individual involved. It ended up becoming a four-way trade with a little bit of cash and a little bit of this, but my wife ended up surprising me with an elder,
Wow, that's
and that
awesome.
was the one I was going for. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've started to get my wife into collecting a little bit. She doesn't have a whole lot yet, but there's certain things that, kind of catch her eye. And like I
Oh
recently
yeah,
got her one of
purple.
the, yes. Oh, same thing. I just got
Yeah.
her one of the dusk um canteen things that dropped. And like I
Oh,
said,
okay,
there's
okay.
there's not a whole lot that catches her eye, but when it does, she's like, I want one of those. And you're like, okay, one for you and I'll get one too and we'll be good. Like, and it makes it exciting because then you can help, find something that they want, or, in your case, she helped find one of the ones that you wanted, and that makes it really cool. I think my first one was probably my most memorable drop miss was that golden gun way back in
Ooh.
the day. Like I wanted the odd job so bad, and I remember, and I think it was a code drop on Spick and Span, and I don't think I had it figured out, and I missed it. And I'm just like, still to this day, that's kind of one of my when I get the urge to pursue it, I'll try and find me one. But um, yeah, that odd job golden gun. Um, okay, so what would you say is your favorite part about the Hormesis community?
Coming from Hawaii, and we're a little rocking out in the middle Pacific. Paintball always seemed huge in the States. I used to watch Dirter, Short Bus, MPPL, all of that stuff. But it's like it paintball was just this massive, huge growing sport everywhere except for here.
Hmm.
And being able to level with pros, semi-pros, guys that are D2, D4, D5, it don't matter. The guys that are always playing, the guys that are always out there, the guys that are, you know, you know them by face, you know them by name. Just being able to talk story with them, just being able to reach out to a bunch of other players all around the world and just, shoot the shit with them for a couple bit. That I think how Hormesis bridges all the gaps together. I think that is the best thing about this community.
Yeah.
There's a ton of people that I've become friends with, but there's even that smaller bunch that I've become really close with, the guys that I would consider family. And had it not been for this company, I'd never know their name.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And especially, I mean, thinking about it now, I mean, we're on opposite ends of the United States, literally, and here we are having a
Literally.
conversation, connected by the company. And I love that, man. Absolutely love that. Great answer. Um, do you have any memorable stories from the community that you like to share? Anything that stands out as one of those examples of just greatness?
mm, kind of, sorta. Um, so back when I hosted the Hermesis Owners Group kind of meet and greet here in Hawaii, I tried to look for the names and the faces in the group from Hawaii that were constantly, engaging with the community. The guys that weren't just lurking around the corner trying to snipe a buy or whatever or sell something. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to, I reached out to a bunch of the guys that we felt were engaging with the community and from Hawaii. So we just invited them out to play a game of nightball. And one of the guys that happened to be visiting back home was John Reeves. Um, Long story short, everybody was amazing. We all had a great time. We all got to know each other a little bit, jive a little bit better. But basically, long story short, we came to find out that me and John, our great grandparents, basically imported to Hawaii from Portugal, probably on the same ship. Like
Wow.
our grandparents grew up together on another island. So
Wow.
that was a pretty cool thing to find out.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a
That,
super small world. I thought he was just
wow.
this cool guy coming from Okinawa to play with us.
And then come to find out that you guys have a connection that goes way back, which makes it even better. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, wow. That's really cool, man. And like I said, I mean, that's one of the things that you gotta love about the company is it brings people together. Like you said, it just
hmm
bridges community and yeah, it makes it really special. Um, is there anything you'd like to see Hormesis come out with? Or any kind of collab that you'd like to see them or a company that you'd like to see them work with?
it would be interesting to see them pick up more of the smaller companies, do collabs with other smaller brands. They did do a collab with Sunday Certified, but it'd be cool to see them do a collab with Craig Baxter.
Mhm.
Get a King's Creation Hermesis headband out there, get a Domology Hermesis headband out there with Devin, and or even what is it, Canadian Cunts. Just get them,
Yeah.
get some far off small brand company. You got Hype, you got Canadian Cunts, there's so many freaking uh proliferating small headband companies out there that there's just probably too much to keep a good idea or to keep a mental note of, I guess.
hmm
There's just a ton of companies out there. Um, Another thing that would be kind of interesting to see, it's not necessarily a product, but if Hermesis went back to the OG drops, you know, the company has grown respectively in the same way the community has grown respectively. The community gets better. Say, hey, we got to start bumping out a little bit more product,
hmm
get a little bit more into the hands of the people because more people want them. Go back to year one, do a soft reset, do
Yeah.
some nasty OG drops. Everybody got a feel for the OG drops with this recent community king drop. Everybody was gunning for everything, and it was just a bloodbath. So it'd be kind of fun to see Hormesis go back to a super limited quantity
Yeah.
and just do some drops the excuse me, drops the way that they used to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like even if they did like a legacy drop or something once a month, but like just bring back that kind of because that's what I see a lot of people in the community talk about too, is just like you said, respectively, the company is growing and they're trying to meet that demand. Um, but at the same time, there's those people that just kind of like, man, those
Bring
community.
back the violence.
Oh, it was a bloodbath, man. It was crazy. Like I was talking with Kevin. He's like, "Yeah, I set my alarm. I haven't set a drop alarm in I don't know how long." And it's just, I remember, your hands get sweaty and you're waiting for it, and it's just like refresh, refresh,
Just
and
refreshing, refreshing. Yep,
absolutely, man. And it makes it very exciting. So yeah, that would be super cool. And it'll be interesting to see, as they grow, where they choose to kind of take things.
definitely agreed.
All right, man. So I know you're a busy guy. This is my last question. Um, Is there any advice that you could pass on to listeners who may want to become a community king in the future?
Don't aim to be a community king. That's the most simple way to say it. Be you, be yourself, if you want to be if you yourself is like a unhappy, grumpy asshole kind of guy, then flaunt it a bit. Somebody might find that a little bit more satire than others, but hell, if you're showing the real you and you're still being true to yourself, you're still trying to give what you can, do what you can, and help out where you can, then that's all there is to it. I didn't do anything special, you know. I just tried to get a bunch of Hawaii guys together a couple times. Mine and my wife, they made a awesome shirt together. All I did was logistics. I just took everything, and I feel like I was the black sheep, if anything. But yeah, I didn't do anything particularly. I didn't do anything with any sort of goal in mind. I was just, hey, you know, how's it? This is me. I'm from Hawaii. I have sweaty head rags. You know, I didn't do anything with a goal in mind. CK was never a goal.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a hopeful endeavor, but it was never something I was trying to reach for. I wasn't trying to do anything specifically trying to earn anybody's respect, to stick out like a community king. So my best advice is just be yourself. You put in, you get what you put in. Engage with the guys. If it's just leaving a comment or posting a picture or whatever, don't do stuff. I mean, I'm not saying don't post daily. Shit, we all appreciate a good picture, but just it's not something you have to hustle or grind for. If it happens, it happens naturally. That's really it. I didn't do anything what I felt was I didn't do anything that I felt was I'm shit for words right now, but I didn't do anything that I felt was in respect worthy of being crowned a king. I just tried to get a bunch of guys to get to know each other, play some paintball, and tried to put some shirts on some people's backs. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Well, I dig it, man. And that was, just very well said. And I think that's one of the great things is just it's just about being yourself. Being yourself and connect with others. And like you said, like with the bands, what's meant to be is going to find a way to get to you. And it's just being patient and staying humble and continuing to just be a part of the community.
I mean, the community itself bridges so many different walks of lives.
Hmm.
Um, just embrace it.
Yep.
Meet new guys, network. I mean, this is this is the closest or best paintball network I've ever had. It's not no PB Nation. It's not no,
Hmm.
it's not just some buy sell thread kind of thing. But just engage with the people, get to know some of the people. And, if it happens, it happens.
Dig it. Well, I think that's all I've got for you, good sir. Yeah, I think that's it. Um, I really appreciate you taking the time. I really do. I mean, I really, this is an awesome thing, and I think we got a lot of great, uh, just great
Hopefully.
exchange out of this, man. And I'm really looking forward. I mean, just the stories of like the little stories from the community and the connection, and it really makes it unique. And I'm very thankful that you're episode number one. And yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time. I do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I'm hoping probably next couple days I'll have this thing out and then post it on YouTube and I'll throw it in the community as well and I'll give you a heads up. But yeah,
For sure, man.
we're gonna get
Thank you.
rolling.
Thank you for honoring me with episode one.
Oh man, it was my
When you
pleasure.
hit me up, I was like, I'm not that interesting, dude. I was like,
Yeah, but
so
man, like
hopefully
I said,
hopefully this works out.
it was truly a great experience and you had some really great stories and some really great insight and um, it's very evident on why you're chosen to be a king and you're a pillar in this community and I just thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good sir. Well, is there anything you want to say before we close out?
No, I'm pretty good. Pretty satisfied with this. This was nice.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, good sir. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day in Hawaii. Aloha, and we'll see you in the community.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks.